Oh.
How are you? Okay.
Is that why you're here now? About a thing on your face. Muslim.
Right. We start.
You come. I mean,
Moishe came with 2 stickers. Oh,
I got 2 vaccines in one day.
no, you did get 2 vaccines in one day. You got 2 stickers.
2 stickers. That's why I get 2 stickers.
Hey, Ben's on tonight, so there was a purpose in it. All this setup, Ben, was just for you.
Sorry, I can't make it tonight.
That's why he's not playing if he can. No, now he doesn't have to.
Can you hear the conversation around everybody's talking about why don't have different reasons why you might not be here? Okay, Baruch Hashem, we're starting a new parak and we're continuing with the Avodah on the Beis in the Beis Hamikdash on the day of Yom Kippur. Toraf bekalfi. Now, it is interesting. Rashi, in the simple explanation, means he grabs inside. Is this who's had to just one? It's also not okay. But man, I'd say it's yours. Toraf bekalfi. Toraf, Rashi explains, means he grabbed. Anybody want to hazard a guess? Why would he have to grab? Why can't he take it gently and slowly?
Because you said he's doing both things, right?
No, he's now what was it? Let's get explained. Got a box inside it. Without for a minute or two. Can you hear me?
No.
Is it now on mute? Do you know if it's on mute?
Bottom left.
Should tell you
Bottom left.
Ben is on mute.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Sorry. Echad kosov laHashem, echad kosov laZoza. One said it laHashem, one said laZoza. Askan biyimino v'yish b'sav b'svoda. We actually had this before in the previous Mishnah. So somebody even asked us a question of why the Mishnah need to tell it to us. It's a reminder that the scan, that's the deputy king God, was on his right, Im shel Shem ola biyimino. If the one of Hashem went up in his right hand, Ishi. Ishi means a term of respect, like sir or master. Kohen Gadol, Hag b'yimincha, lift up your right hand. Shel Shem ola b'smoiloi. If he came up in his left hand, because he had whoever was next to it would be the one to say either raise your hand, and that's what he would say. Nosnon ashnei asivim, we put them on 2 he-goats. And you would say Hashem chatos, this be for Hashem chatos. When he would say Hashem chatos, I saw a nice picture. Is it there? It's not. That's the Eruvin one. Is it the Eruvin or the Yoma one? So here's one. It's the same. There. Here it is. No, it's the wrong one. Oh, sorry. What happened was he would stand up. He would say La Hashem Chatos, but you'd say the name La Hashem Chatos. Not around. Okay, everybody's all the time. When you say La Hashem Chatos, everybody would have to do Hishtachavoyo, because he would say the name of Hashem. Rabbi Yisroel lo yitzarich lema chatos. He didn't need to say the word chatos. Ela la Hashem would be enough to say Hashem. V'neinu achor Baruch Shem Kod Malchus Elam Moed, and they would all say Baruch Shem Kod Malchus Elam Moed, as they would say every time it's the name of Hashem. I just want to show you a couple of pictures. It's quite nice to see the video. Thank you very much, Chaim. So here is just show a couple of tiny pictures. You see here is lifting up his right hand. Is it? Yeah, it's right hand. Very good. He's lifting up his right hand. Here is lifting up his left hand. And here it's very interesting because you must remember when they would bow down in the Beis Hamikdash, they won't bow like we bow nowadays. They would bow with pishut yadayim v'raglayim, spreading out the hands and legs. If you look very carefully, keep all down. they would spread eagled, I think is the English word for it. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. And therefore he would say Hashem Chatos to put it off, or put it down. Okay. So again, so that's our Mishnah. Says the Gemara. Lomali Torah for Kalfi. According to Rashi, why do you have to grab? According to Orach, why do you have to stir it? They shouldn't have kavanah to take. Omar Bob, Kalfi Shalei was made out of wood. It wasn't Kaddish. It was very, very small. You could only just about fit in two hands. Avinu asks, that was very narrow. The wider it is, the easier it is to feel around. If it's very small, the only choice is to make it narrow so that you can't feel it around. So that makes sense. Why can't make it Kaddish? It says, well, we can have the klishos should eat klishos, the eight of dinan and zilzal for klishos made out of wood. So therefore, they didn't want to make it out. They want to make, therefore, they would not make Kaddish it. So the Gemara, v'nada the kesef, v'nada the zol, make it out of silver or gold and be mekadosh it. When it's not necessary, we do not waste money. It's a special principle. As much as we can, we try to save money for kaisel. And since there was no reason for it to be kaddish, we prefer to keep it as wood and not be a klishos than to make it silver and gold and an added expense and make it a klishos. Does anybody know where's the original source of our Torah Chosam and Shalisol? That's by Yaakov. Where do we see? Where does the Torah say it? It comes up many places in Torah. Every so often Rashi says the one Makor. Where is it? By Mitzvah, when he says, I've got Beis, it says, take out everything from the house. Rashi says, what is it? Go metal, you can tumor. It's only earthenware. You can use it, but you make tumor. But Rashi says it's a financial loss, therefore. And he says, Rashi here adds that here will be Chosam and Shali Solov of Rosh because he's got Saras in his house. Kavachima from a tzaddik, the Torah does not want money to be wasted. Says the Gemara, Baslisu Deloi Kaitana. Our Mishnah says that whatever happened, the scan, whatever happened, the Kohen Gadol would take it out. I mean, sometimes he take it out with his right hand, sometimes with his left hand. We're going to have a brisa that says that only right hands were used. You must remember that avodah always generally has to be done with the right hand. So how could you have that both lotteries should be picked up with the right hand? Answer is one the Kohen Gadol did and one the scan did. And therefore, that way you are guaranteed that it would come up in the right hand. They will put in the right hand, so some people have the girls say Yamin on the kalpi, the right hand on the kalpi. In Bimnish Kohen Gadol Oila, Askan Oimoloish Kohen Gadol Ak Bimincha, Bimnish Askan Oila, Roish Beis Av, Oimoloish Kohen Gadol, Dva Miloch, say your words. That means the Kohen Gadol would say it, but sometimes it would come up not in the hand of the Kohen Gadol, sometimes it would come up in the hand of the scan, and then the Roish Beis Av would say to the Kohen Gadol, you speak up. The Gemara, why should now the Rosh Beis Av speak? When name scan, let the scan speak. It's a shtech. That means like this. Think about it. You've got the Kohen Gadol and the scan. They both put in the right hands. Really, we would hope that the Kohen Gadol would get it in the right hand. But this year, whatever reason it may be, the Kohen Gadol wasn't worthy. The scan gets in his right hand. If the scan would say to the Kohen Gadol, speak up and say that what's in my hand is La Hashem, and what's the other one, your hand is La Azazeh, it would feel hurt. So better the Rosh Beis Av, it's even though it's just it's the same problem, but it's not the one who's above him speaking, and therefore it'd be less painful.
Why can't he pass to the Kohen Gadol?
No, once you picked it up, that was the Din Hagrola, that you pick it up, that became the Chalus.
You give it to the Kohen Gadol, he holds while it's holding it, you can announce it. You know which one now, once we know.
We want to know it, why not pass it over to him? Because that's for the two goats. That was the din. That's how it had to be done. Yeah. Says the Gemara, the Maikom Ifliki, Masava Yamina the scan, or if Mispele the Kohen Gadol, better the right hand of the scan than the left hand of the Kohen Gadol. Masava Kiadodininu, it's equal, and since it's equal, prefer the Kohen Gadol should do it all. Man Haitana, the polygon Rabbi Yehuda, who's the one who argues? Chadin is going to Kohen him, the time of Chadin is going to Kohen him, Lomo scan. What did the scan do? Mimino, Rashi says two Mahalchim. Lomoskan Mimino, why did the scan walk on his right hand? But Rashi says better than that is Lomoskan, and miss out the word Mimino. Why Bichlal is there scan? That the scan would be instead of him. And the way Rashi explains it is like this. The only reason the scan ever did was only to be in his place, meaning that while the Kohen Gadol was okay, the scan did nothing, which is a raya, not like this previous price, the scan stuck his right hand in. On the contrary, it says the only thing the scan did was a replacement, but nothing else. It is interesting, who was the one who said it? He's speaking about his own position, and he's saying that the position is not a very good one, because it is like a vice president, or I don't know. All I can do is if the Kohen Gadol is lost, but I myself, I've not got anything else to be never. Otherwise, the scan did not do any other kind of avoid. The Gemara is going to tell us a list of nisim that happened when Shimon Tzaddik was the Kohen Gadol. Shimon Tzaddik was the beginning of Beis Sheni, and he was one of the great, if there were rather famous story that Alexander came and got off his horse to bow down to him because he saw a vision of him in the Kohen clothes, and he did a very lot to help the beginning of the Beis Sheni to set up a lot of things. So while he was Kohen Gadol, there was a lot of nisim. So it would always come up in the right. Sometimes it would come up the right, sometimes in the left. Every year, the red string, we're going to learn in the next Mishnah that they would tie a red string to the head of the he-goat. And what would happen is every year it would turn white. But from then on, sometimes it would go white, sometimes not go white. The name Maravi would last all day. Rashi here, Rashi's one place says it would last till the following night, even though it only had the same as all the other candles. Rashi over here, Pink says it lasted to the last of the morning, meaning when they were made to the Saneiros, then it would be the last one to be cleaned because it would last the longest, but not that it lasted all day, but would be cleaned in the morning. Rashi over here, Big Zamachlekas from the Nochas, which one is the name Maravi? It's a very hard question. Rashi only brings two shittas.
Depends whether the menorah, because the third shitta is whether the menorah was.
No, Rashi brings, if the menorah was from east to west, which one's named Maravi? The second from the
west.
I think it's second from the west. No. You're right. Well, from Misach. Second from the east is right. That means if it was from east to west, let's say this is Medrash, this is east, there's west. That was the west. It was the second from the east. That means it was the first one, which could be called west. The first one was east. The first on the second. But if it was from this way around, then which one was named Maravi? The middle. Rashi only brings two. That's what Rashi says. Okay. Would go strong on its own accord. They never needed to bring any wood, it would just burn on its own accord. They would have to put the two logs of wood because of the special mitzvah of Shnei Gzirei Eitzim. But without the need of the mitzvah, the fire would burn on its own accord. They would have to bring wood onto the Mizbeach the whole time because sometimes the fire would be going out. So that to constantly add fuel to the fire. Another miracle, there was a bracha in the that what? They would eat enough that what would happen is they would, even from one kazayis, there would be left over, they would feel so full. The word says that sometimes it would get like a bean. The whole Magir like a bean. The tzaddikim would not take. Rashi says that since they saw there was no bracha in it, therefore they would not take from it. The Rishonim says even more than that. The Teresa says there's a mitzvah of achila. Achila is when it is a proper achila chashuva. If they would see there was no satisfaction, it's not a proper achila. The Tisra says even more than that, is the Torah says l'moshcha, that the Torah gave it to you l'moshcha l'gedula, as greatness. And here, since you were getting only a small amount, and it gave you no satisfaction, it wasn't l'gedula, therefore you couldn't eat it. Somebody once snatched his portion and somebody else's portion. Again, sorry, the words of noting they would grab and take. The son of a thief, meaning a thief, on top of Lamates would base Adjay Mosa until the day he died. So Tesis on top on Lamentations Modalef, let's try and do every Tesis today a little bit very briefly. Just ask the question, it doesn't understand. If every top of Lamentations Modalef, the Tesis is. If everybody grabbed, why was this particular person who grabbed any worse than anybody else? So Tesis says either most people didn't care if what they grabbed from and grabbed elsewhere. It was like a free-fall snatching. He didn't let anybody take from him, but he would grab from other people. Such a person is called a grabber. Tesis says that he grabbed from somebody who was grabbing, and therefore, because of that, they called him a chamsam, which means a thief. Okay. The Maisa, we were upset with him until the day he died. How do we see the word chamsam means a thief? Elikai palteni miadrosh, save me from an evil person. Mikaf me'abel v'chometz, from a wicked. So you see the word chometz means a thief. Limdu heitev dilshu mishpat. Learn well, do look for justice. Ashu chamoitz. Ashu chamoitz means give power to the one that's been stolen. What the based in is to protect the ones that have been bullied and been stolen from. Nalinor says Ashu chamoitz at ashu chometz. Rashi says these words. And look at the second verse of the page. Actually, it's the third. It's nothing to do with here. The halacha is that you always have to listen to the Tivea first. When you say to the Chosh that goes like this, the Dan has to say to the Tivea, you speak first. Only when the Tivea is completely finished talking, say to her, are you finished? Have you said everything you want to say? Then you're allowed to speak to the Nitzbah. And that's learned from Ashu Chamoitz, strengthen the one that's been taken from. Not Ashu Chometz. Okay. Told the Rabbanon. That year he's going to die. He wants to speak in third person, not to bring a klal on himself. He will die. He should have said, I will die. But who makes it's not nice to speak about yourself as I'm going to die. So who makes he will die? How do you know? An elder person dressed in white would come with me. And wrapped in white, nichnas imi v'yotze imi would come in with me and come out with me. Yomi dressed in black, nichnas imi v'yotze imi, and he never came out with me. Yomi was not well for 7 days. And he died. They stopped saying birchas kohanim b'shem. Why did they stop saying b'shem? Because they were not worthy of it. In this week's parasha, it says, "V'somo shmiya b'nei Yisrael b'niyah v'ochim." Rashi says, "V'somo shmi." Rashi says, "Shmi v'shmi." But the only while they were worthy of it. Once they were not worthy of it, they were not. They stopped using Shem Meforish by Birchas Kohanim from the days after Shemona Tzadik. There's a very, very, very ancient Tesis Shonim, which is actually a Yerushalmi. By me, it's the first Tesis Shonim on the page. Anybody got a cash on this? Come on, maybe they can count the Tesis Shonim. I have a special possible and nobody's allowed to be b'oil. We dashed once before we spoke about this. Even Malachim were not allowed to be in the Mishkan when the Kohen Gadol would go to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Just because it's to say it's like the Yichud room. The Yichud room, if you've got somebody there, even if it's like a random cousin or cleaner, it's not Yichud. The Kohen Gadol would go to him, Kippur, even the Malachim were not allowed. So who's the Abu Shvanim, Otav Shvanim? And you're never going to believe what the Tis Shvanim answers. Anybody want to guess? What does it say? What was that? Was it most of the Shekhinah? Let's read the words of Shabi. Shabi poich v'ksiv v'chadu le'boel v'oel v'dashina afilu oitzav shkosa b'nei b'nei adam. Taz kvoid HaKodesh Baruch Hu hoyo. The kavod of Hashem. Unbelievable. Okay. Konu Abon Shana Kinu Chumna Beis 40 years before the Chumna Beis it never came up in the right. I mean, till then it was sometimes there, sometimes not. The last 40 years it never came up in the right. Never went white. And the name of the night. And the dasas of the Heicha would open up on the own accord. Rashi says, if Tochis Ma'alein, Simon Na'oivim, Lovivim Likonis, as a sign for the enemies that should come in. Ashigor ben Avichem ben Zakai, Omanoi, Heichol, Heichol, if they matter Mavis Atzmacho, why are you making yourself scared? I know you're going to be destroyed, but you still shouldn't behave like this. The Fashachayim in Sha'alef brings this Gemara very briefly, and he says a very, very powerful thing. He says, what's the purpose of all these things? Why did HaKadosh arrange that there were so many simonim that the Beis is going to be destroyed? The warning. It's a warning. He says more than that. It's to teach you that Titus would destroy the Beis Hamikdash to nothing. Because at the end of the day, it was already the Churban. Who caused the Churban is Klal Yisrael. Because when they did the Aveira, they destroyed the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash was an empty shell. And he brings a pasuk in Tehillim, Yevoda kemevich svach lemalo. It should be as if Titus brought an axe above. It's only as if, because really he never actually did it. He says because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the koyach of building and destroying through mitzvahs and averos to Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael are the ones on the steering wheel. We have control of this world. When we do a mitzvah, we create goodness. When we do an aveir, we create harm. The goyim do not have that power, he says. And therefore, he says, when a person has a machshava zah, a bad thought in his mind, he's like putting it selim in the heichal, and he's doing something worse than Titus Sarasha. And in order to make that very, very clear to Klal Yisrael, Hashem said, look, I'm going to show the Beis Hamikdash already lost its Kedusha 40 years before. And more carries on. The Kvadisnaba Lecho Zecharia ben Edo, Zecharia ben Edo already said, Posach levonin tilosecha, levonin should open your doors, the Tuchal Ish Barozecha, the fire should burn. Because it made all the Averos of Klal Yisrael white. It's very interesting when Shashim word of Vonin comes up a very lot, and people get very disturbed because they're not used to that name of the Beis Hamikdash. But that is the true name of the Beis Hamikdash. Vonin is the name of the Beis Hamikdash. It's interesting. More over here, he says one reason. Vonin means the word white because it makes the Averos white. The Medrash Rabbi in Vayikra says two other explanations. The Beis Hamikdash brought joy to the whole world. Levonin says the Medrash comes to the word leiv, heart. It was the place where a person's heart was full. Another pshat the Medrash says is Shlomo HaMelech said it, that HaKadosh Hu's eyes and heart is focused on the Beis Hamikdash all the days. Levonin is from the leiv and ayin. It's like if you read Leiv Ayin very quickly, you'd come to the word Levonin. It's the place of Hashem's heart and eyes. But the Ma'aseh Levonin is Beis Hamikdash, and the pasuk here says that open up your doors and the fire will consume you. Why is the Beis Hamikdash called the forest? Just like a forest brings forth lots of new leaf growth. We had this Gemara earlier. It's an unbelievable Gemara. When he built the Beis Hamikdash, not about coming in with Shazov, he planted gold trees. Right? Everybody talks about the money tree in the back garden. This was a real tree of gold. Had a real tree of gold. For you might see in Paris with my name, and out would come fruit. The Kim Shavach when the wind would blow, the gold would come off the trees. The fruit would fall off with a noise. Metal fruit, when they fall gold, and it falls off the tree. An apple falls off the tree, you can barely hear it. But if you imagine gold nuggets falling off a tree, it would make a nice little clanking noises. And when it got cut off and withered. Covered the covered of the vonim was given to it, and therefore that is referring to that golden tree which the Melech planted. And we spoke about it last time, how it was to teach Klal Yisrael how HaKadosh said that he can produce life in anything, even in metal and gold comes a life, and that's why HaKadosh made that the gold would grow. 10 times 10 times would mention it. That means he said vidu 3 times, and every time he said vidu, he would say the name of Hashem 3 times. How? Ono Hashem, chotu ovu meisod. The pasuk said. Let's read out the Mishnah. The Mishnah's got it, and the Mishnah says, where is it? Oh, you'd say like this: Ono Hashem. That's the first time. Obviously, poshatich tosef alecha ani beisi. Ono Hashem. It's the second time. Kapen ol avonis v'pshon chatoim. And you'd finish off, the first one mission is ignorant. Hashem titol 3 times. So 3 viduim, 3 times the name of Hashem, that's already 9. Gimel vidu rishon, ושלוש בבידוי שני ושלוש בסוף משתלח. ואחד בגבולות, and one by the גבולות. וכבר, one time it happened, Oma, he said Hashem, b'nishma k'iloi b'Yericho, you could hear a sound in Yericho. Oma, Chanosh, Yerushalayim Yericho, 10 parsos. How many million a parsa? 4 million a parsa. How many amos in a mill? 2,000. So 8,000 amos in a parsa. 10 parsa is 80,000 amos. We said what? An amos approximately half a meter. So this is 40,000 meters, which is 40 kilometers, right? Even today, actually, Yerushalayim to Yericho is approximately 40 kilometers. So 40 kilometers, that's how the sound would. Till the losses of Eichel, the sound of the hinges of the doors of the Eichel, Nishma b'shmoyet Tchum Shabbos, you could hear it 8 Tchum Shabbos. 8 Tchum, how much is Tchum Shabbos? 8,000, 16,000 amps.
What's a good thing?
It would show the tremendous greatness of the
Maybe your
Beis.
hinges are quite on this.
They're very, very big doors.
Probably thought of.
Yeah, I never thought about it, but I imagine, it would make how majestic they were. This asked the kasha that we had, there's a Mishnah in Tommy that says that they would hear it much, much further, not 8 parsa, but 10 parsa. So this says two towards him. One is there was a difference between the hinges and the doors. The doors, they would hear much further, the hinges would only hear much less. Another explanation is like this, that 8, they would be able to hear and see and know what the sound is. Sometimes you hear a sound, you don't know what the sound is. 10, they would hear the sound without knowing what it was. 8, they would hear the sound and they would know what it was. If you read through the whole thesis. Yes, let's read it very quickly. They can hear an echo. He wouldn't know what it was. He would just hear a sound without knowing what it was. Okay. That,
so he wouldn't know what it was.
No.
That doesn't matter.
That they would hear.
Even though it's a voice.
That
Even though it's 10 pounds.
Yeah, that's right. The sound,
noise.
that was different sounds. The doors, they would only hear echo.
This is not dangerous to the people like in the basement stuff.
I don't know. Okay, Ism should be vichoy. Yeah, I like your questions. It's to the point. Ism should be vichoy. Misachis me'achakateres. That would sneeze me'achakateres. Noshim should be vichoy. The women in vichoy in sichnes pas me'achakateres. They wouldn't need to put on perfume because they'll get me'achakateres. Kalu should be shabbat sichnes kash me'achakateres. So Ben Yehuda says a very simple cheshbon. A kala puts on a very, very lot of perfume. So therefore, in Yerushalayim, she didn't need to put on perfume. If she lived outside Yerushalayim, she had to put on perfume. But a normal woman doesn't put on so much perfume. So all the normal women, all the way to Yericho, they need to this. I saw today, I don't know if it's a Shochbotis or not, there's a sefer of Yisroel Yaakov and Shir Hashem by Shmuel Yaakov Bornstein, unfortunately, it was a couple of years ago. So I wasn't sure that to buy it. I always have a suffering these kinds of things. So I asked somebody if I could borrow it. It was already a long time ago. So yes, I could borrow it, but he's got it in Gateshead. My son came over from Gateshead today, say, what were the sefer? So I went through the sefer. And they asked an interesting question. There's the thing, there's a famous that every person has 5 senses: smell, taste, sight, hearing, etc. 5 senses. If you look carefully, the Chit Odma Vision, it only mentions 4. It doesn't mention the sense of smell. And that is why it's got huge arichas. The sense of smell is that's why we do B'som Motzei Shabbos, because B'somim is a particularly important koyach. So he says, with that I can understand, this is what the Yisroel Yaakov adds. With this I can understand why the Gemara tells us the sense of smell spread so far. He answers, because Odom Avishim was very, very big. Rashi says he was as tall as from the earth to the hand, and he was one end of the other. Means there was no limit to Odom Avishim because it was before Chet. Once he did the Chet, it became very, very limited. But the sense of smell was never limited. Why not? Because it never sinned. So for the sense of smell was spread a very lot. It wasn't nice safe. If it would have, I'd have added that I don't understand. Because the Gemara doesn't just say the sense of smell, because the sense of sound also spread a very lot. So I'm not sure how he understands the sense of sounds, but it's not my safer, so I had to have the question. I've got it in my mind. But I like to
take it.
I can't ask him because unfortunately it was lifted 2-3 years ago. But Rashi asks an unbelievable question. Tais asks the question that why every woman was over on Me'ilah. Because at the end of the day, because they're using the perfume. And Tais speaks of anybody who loves Bachluk deserves a L'chaim. Oh, the Gemara says that there's no Issa Me'ilah, but there's Lechatchila one shouldn't. So Tais says, you're right, you're not Chayav called Me'ilah because it's not tangible, but Lechatchila you shouldn't use it. There's Machlokes Abai and Rava, which if you remember it, we talked about it so much. What's Machlokes Abai and Rava? If you go to Tesco on Pesach and they're baking bread, oh, you're allowed to enjoy the smell. And Abaya says, what we talked about. If you remember, Abaya said that you're not allowed. Very good. Very good. Okay. So we're carrying on with the smell of the ketevas that Kalas, Ben Yehuda says that Kalas where Kalas did, but women in general put on less perfume do not need to do anymore. I could still smell the smell of the ketevas. Oh, this is a new topic, and this is quite more. They finished with a lighter, slightly more complicated. The correct procedure was the Kohen Gadol would put his hands into a box, take out the two, say, well, hopefully the right one was Hashem, the left one's Azazim. I'm facing you, so you have to picture it around, and put it down on the ceiling. So there was two things: Aliyah's girl, that's taken out of the box, and Hanoch's girl, putting it down. Now we have two fundamental questions. What happens if he lifted it up and he didn't put it down? And another question is, what happens if he didn't bother with the lottery altogether? He walks in, can't bother doing a lottery, maybe he's scared of being caught out, not such a tzaddik. So he just says, that's the chatos, that's the azazah. So he didn't bother doing a girl. And we have a constant principle that, does anybody remember, when do we say that something's the akav in kodshim?
It's part of the...
We usually have two ways that something's the akav in kodshim. Maybe you'd remember if it's shana lov la'akav, anything which says twice is ma'akav. The Torah tells us something twice is ma'akav, or if the Torah uses the word chukah. Chukah means a fixed thing. So now we're going to have a whole discussion. There's two things. We talk about the aliyah's girl, lifting up the girl. What happens if he doesn't bother with the girl altogether? Or he did the girl, but he didn't put it down. That's the shaila which we're going to discuss. Omar b'yanai. Aliyah's girl, meter kalpi, lifting it out, means doing the lottery ma'akevs. Hanocha, putting it down on the animals, einu ma'akevs. So v'ich no ma'afiliyah's girl, einu ma'akevs, it's not ma'akevs. So according to Rabbi Yechni, you can walk into the Beis Hamikdash, say, that's chatos, that's azos, it's not ma'akav, you're not done the best way. But it's not ma'akav, you're yotzeh b'diavad. Mashein kein, according the order of the avodah incorrectly. What happens if you did the order of the avodah incorrectly? It's to do with the fact that the Torah uses the word chukah. The Torah does say the word chukah, but avodah in kippur. When it uses the word chukah, the question is about what is the Torah saying the word chukah about? Everything about some of the avodah, etc. So they argue: is it ma'akav the avodah mibachutz? Is the avodah outside the kodesh hakadoshim ma'akav if you do it wrong? So now we've got a double machlekes. We've got machlekes a bit on the chemia. If the avodah done outside the kodesh hakadoshim is a ma'akav or not, whether Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai, whether Aliyas Geirul is Makif or not. Everybody agrees Hanochas Geirul is not Makif. Let's put it down on Like Machlokes Aliyas Geirul. Let's get a simple English word for Aliyas Geirul. What's a good English word for Aliyas Geirul? Doing the lottery. Actually, doing the lottery, lifting the lottery, is Machlokes when it's Makif. So the question is, Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai, is it going according to Rabbi Yehuda, or is it going according to Nechemia? And regarding that, we have two versions in the Gemara. So you've got Machlokes and Nechemia, Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai, and two versions in the Gemara. The Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yanai it's not Makif. Keep Ligi Ali the Nechemia. The whole Machlokes go to Nechemia that says it is Makif. Madam Makif come Nechemia said it's Makif. Madam Ali Makif and Emilia avoid. How call it avoid? That means even according to Nechemia it says Makif, but this is not real avoid. This is not Makif. Ekedami. Ali would have Nechemia Dama Makif could have any Pligi de Makif and because it is Makif. Keep Pligi Ali would have Yoda. Madam Ali Makif could have Yoda. It's not Makif like Yoda. Madam Makif Shani Hocha. The Tana Beikro Asher Olo Trei Zimni. It says Asher Olo twice. Asher Olo lo v'agel Hashem Asher Olo twice. Since it says it twice, so Asher Olo lo v'agel Azozeh, and it says also so Asher Olo lo v'agel twice. Therefore, it's Makif as we said. Then it says Olo twice. It's Makif. Tosis asks, if that's the case, the other man Doma, how does he get through? We've got a principle that anything which is twice is Makif. Answers Tosis that only when it's a commandment twice it's Makif. Here it's a storytelling, meaning the pasuk says the soil which the girl went on it, keep it alive. The instruction is to keep it alive, but it's in the description of which soil we're talking about. It's Sha'ala twice. I think I'm going to stop. Okay, we'll just no, because we find this a shorter way. Just let's get what. My school's not to come more time, but let's get summarize what we said. Let me just set them to summarize. Regarding avoida b'bigdei lovon mibachutz. Three things. Avoida in bigdei lovon, that's the white clothes. Mibachutz. Mibachutz means not in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Is it ma'akev or not? Everybody agrees Hanocha is not ma'akev. Machlokes is only where the Aliyah skill is ma'akev. The Gemara's got two versions as to what they argue. One version is that according to Madam is ma'akev. Everything is ma'akev. According to Madam is not ma'akev. That's the Machlokes. That Rabbi Yadai holds nevertheless it is ma'akev because it says Allah twice. The other version is the other way around. According to everybody that says that it's not ma'akev, of course not ma'akev. According to Madam it's ma'akev, maybe this is not ma'akev because of the fact that it's not proper avoidus, it's not properly ma'akev. If we were to find a man Oma or Brisa that says it is ma'akev, or alternatively a Brisa that says it's not ma'akev, either one, it will actually be a question. And the reason is like this. Let's say we find a Brisa that says that it's not ma'akev. It's not ma'akev. So according to Rabbi Yana that says it is ma'akev, it's a question. Now, you would say it's a Machlokes Yehuda and Nechemia, but according to one of the versions of the Gemara, he said that even according to Madam it's not ma'akev, this is ma'akev. So if you find somebody that says it's not ma'akev, according to Rabbi Yana that says it is ma'akev, and according to one version of the Gemara, he said it's ma'akev according to everybody, so who's the one who says it's not ma'akev? So Rabbi Yana is wrong. If you find a Brisa that is ma'akev, then you've got a kasha according to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said it's not ma'akev. So what would you answer? Rabbi Yochanan says it's not ma'akev, it was only speaking according to Rabbi Yehuda because of the Nechemia. It is. No, it's not true. Because Rabbi Yochanan said that even I hold it's not ma'akev according to everybody, because even because it is ma'akev, this is not ma'akev because it's not real avodah. So if we find a Brisa which either says it is ma'akev or not ma'akev, either one will be a question. Because each one of Rabbi Yochanan and Yanai did not say that their opinion is only according to one Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemia. They said their opinion is according to both, and therefore they all hold according to them that there's nobody holds back. Okay, let's just do at least one Brisa, and then we'll do a little bit. We'll do one Brisa to get to the idea that the whole style of God, the whole next staff is going to be just about this one discussion. The whole daf is a ma'akev or is it not? We're going to try and prove one way or another. Let's just do one Brisa. Meisvei mitzvah lahagel. There's a mitzvah to do it. If you didn't, kosher. So what's it, ma'akev or not ma'akev? Not ma'akev. If you say everybody agrees that it's not ma'akev or mani Rabbi Yehuda, that fits very nicely to Rabbi Yehuda. Hello, top of Mem Amud Aleph, Lachli Shadam Fligi. According to Madam said that they argue even according to Rabbi Yehuda. Bishop Madam Aloi ma'akev. According to Rabbi Yochanan said it's not ma'akev or mani Rabbi Yehuda. Hello, Madam ma'akev or mani. That means, according to the man Omar, which is Rabbi Yana, who says that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says normally it's not ma'akev, here it is ma'akev. Why? Because it says Allah twice. So who's this brisa that says that it's not ma'akev? And some more Tony Misla Lahaniach. The brisa is not talking about doing the lottery. The brisa is talking about placing the lottery. Placing the lottery, everybody agrees it's not ma'akev. Okay, we'll stop here because we'll try and do a daf. On Friday, the Shiur straight after Shacharis. Shacharis here is 7:25. So Shiur will be immediately afterwards, about 8:05. What? Yeah, we changed the Rosh Hashanah. We changed the Rosh Hashanah. Tony, we changed the Rosh Hashanah. But we don't usually do a full daf on Friday. It's a shorter Shiur. And then, maybe tomorrow bit. And then on Shabbos, the Shiur is 7:05.
45 minutes.
And then it's a Shiur, right? It's a hard.
You outvoted. You did a vote, yeah.
I'm sorry, right?